All right. Recording to the cloud. All right. So I see is this we're not sure what user is registered with this event. Is that one of the things you're bringing up, Lena?
Well, the user is whoever, I think whoever triggered this event. So here we don't want to ping maintainer who merged the MR, but we want to ping the MR author, I guess.
That is a great point. Yeah, that's a really good point. Let me see. Do we have a spec that's kind of no? This is probably too mocked out. So I'd love to like be able to test this out. Have we ever run like one of the? We can run these locally, right?
Yeah, I ran it before, but I think the instructions change a bit, and you can run only with Docker now. But I checked it 10 minutes before the meeting, so I don't know. It was easier before.
It was easy. It was easy before. I don't have this MR even. I don't have this project even cloned.
Meanwhile, I'm just going to have a quick snoop. I've got some logs of webhooks that I might be able to just confirm. I'm 90% sure you're right that will be the person that closed or merged it. But what I'm not 100% sure of, although I think you were quite confident, Lena, that there isn't the ability to access the author anywhere in that data without having to make an API call or some
really?
additional, which is a bit of a pain if we have to do that.
Yeah. I guess I trust the authors. Yeah, let me open it up from here. So we're introducing this new cool. All right. Yes, only doing this on org or com, reacting to close or merge. That's where this event thing is coming from. That's interesting.
Exactly, yeah.
So where are those events? Where this is the like data model for these events? That'd be nice to know, right?
There is an events in class, however it's called in Ruby, and you can see how it looks like. Yeah.
Okay. User.
I think that's it.
This payload comes from. Oh, sometimes we just initialize this thing. Let me see if I can find this string. All right, these are things that are all reacting to it, I guess.
Hello, everybody. I do apologize.
Oh, hey.
How's everybody?
All the better for seeing you, David.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. No, my last meeting there ran. They asked for 2 extra minutes, and then it turned into 13 extra minutes. But there was a lot of talking, so I'm here now.
Cool. No, I know you're usually not able to make these, so I appreciate you taking time to make it, and then really appreciate you putting this together. So we were just wanting to confirm the user that is going to be pinged. Is this going to be?
I think Alina left a great comment where what I've actually done is I'm pinging the author. I think I'm pinging the approver, which I actually want to ping the author, who's the community contributor.
Yeah. How do you think? So I was trying to find more information on the event data.
Yeah. I'm looking through the README of it to see how the processor works.
We have got the author ID, but that's not going to be very helpful, I don't think.
Do we have an assignee by any chance? Is the event structure listed there by any chance? Would there be?
Well, that's a good point, actually. My concern is I don't think that the community contributors I don't think there's a high enough percentage of community contributors that are going to be assigned to their MRs. Or do you always believe that you do that as a matter of course when you're reviewing the MRs, you always assign them to the community contributor?
Oh yeah, 100%. That should be the first thing you do. They
Oh,
should
okay.
find as
Okay.
the assignee. Otherwise, personally, I find it very hard to navigate the community
Okay.
contributions. But maybe it's not a common thing. I don't know.
There's definitely in the payload, there's the assignee ID and the author ID, but it's whether or not we then have access to those objects via these models or not.
And these look like they could be nullable. So I'd like to know. I'd like to test this out in integration locally. Have you gotten to do that, David?
I have not. I have not spun it up and tested it locally.
Let's try that out.
No, wait, we do. We have an assignees array which actually has the usernames in.
Are you serious?
That's awesome.
Where
Because
is
I know when you're scheduling the policies, you're able to literally reference assignee or assignees in the YAML action. So I was hoping something similar would exist.
Oh, interesting.
Let's have a look. Assignee. So
I'm gonna try to run this thing.
yeah, go for it.
Are we good with that? So
Go
I'm gonna
for it.
hope that this doesn't blow up on me. It's so far it's blown up 66% of the time. Chad's been in the room, but when I'm just by myself, it works without a hitch.
It's a touchy project, you know.
I know. Well, Chad's not here, so that's good news. I'm joking, Chad.
So it does. I think we do have access. I think we do have access to the assignees array, as Lee said.
Yeah, I'm a bit hesitant. Yeah, I can't paste this one because there's some stuff that needs to be obscured in the data, but it's there.
And to be honest, like I like the idea, Lee, that this could highlight holes in the process that we currently have. So like I think, you know, merge coaches, the first thing they probably should do is if the assignee hasn't, or if the contributor hasn't assigned themselves, that's probably the first thing the merge coach should do anyway.
What about the question about, well, should we not do that as part of our, when we do the thank you message, should we not automate the assigning of the author? Why would we not do that?
It's great. I have no good answer for why we would not do that. That sounds like less work to me.
So when we the discussion was about author or assignee, and if the assignee is empty, we should just assign it automatically.
Yeah, I think that would be fairly good in fairness.
Yeah.
It takes the guesswork. It's one less click for the merge coach, which is great.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. So I'm following these instructions. I'm building this thing. Oh snap!
Did it explode? It sounds like it exploded.
No. It's not exploded. It's just taking time. Hopefully it doesn't have to do this every time we make a change. Pretty sure it doesn't. Docker's pretty good at caching intermediaries.
So what are you hoping? So you're going to run this. You're then going to use one of your projects in GDK to point the webhooks at, which is probably the instructions that are probably right in front of me, right?
Yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking we could do. I guess we could also just run this locally and point it actually to GitLab.com. You know, give it my own.
You'd have to set up your router to route the traffic though, right?
Well, it looks like you can specify when you run this.
So I guess this is, I'm not 100% sure we could really do with someone from EP in here, but they recently tried to combine the triage and the serverless projects together. The way I understand it, the one that we're interested in is a reactive. It's the serverless project, which receives webhooks. The triage ops project, and I could be wrong here. There's the old triage project is the one that runs on a schedule and applies to things like, oh, hey, could someone add a type label to this MR? Yep. The
Yeah.
serverless one receives webhooks inbound when people do certain things.
That makes sense. I see. So these tokens, we need this thing, and that might be an instance level thing. Oh, so we'll see. Let's try that out. Let me see if we're up and running. Ah, so close, so close. All right. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, I don't even think I'm on. I'm probably not on master. Oh well, that should be fine. All right, now we're ready to go. We've got things loading. Why are you laughing at me? My daughter just came in and started laughing at me.
She knows you're about to run the JDK. That's
I know. She's like, ha, 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 ha. Oh wait, I am almost 100% certain. I am not on master, which is why this is causing problems. Let me see. Oh no, I am on master. What?
I'm just gonna take a quick minute to just give a shout out on this recording to how amazing Remy is. Remy, if you ever watch this.
Is that a reaction to having looked at all the existing processors, David, or what's the?
No, I'm looking through the merge Alina linked and the awesome feedback. He's so great and kind in the way he navigates his feedback. I really like looking at code reviews that involve him.
Why in the world are you not working? I'm so frustrated at this thing. Okay, why is this having problems? Man, now I gotta... This works every time I'm not on a call. I know I'm just making excuses. It does, though. It really does. I guess I need to go GDK. This has been...
We could retrieve it via the API. We could indeed retrieve it via the API. That is a suggestion. Is there anywhere else in the triage process that we make a call to the API?
Are we having a problem here? Oh, I don't talk.
Are you talking about the offer, David?
Oh, we do. In adding the legal disclaimer, we make a call to the API to get some information. So maybe, yeah, we probably could do the same thing in the process.
So I'm not sure. I think you might have joined just after, but I've had a look, and the webhook does include the assignees. I'm not sure whether that's sufficient to, or whether we think that we're only happy if it's the author.
That is a great question. It'd be safer if it was the author, because it is possible for the assignee to not be the author. A human error being what it is. But I mean, look, as an MVC, I think starting with the assignee is probably fine, and then extending it in a follow-up to query the API for the author.
We've got the last commit author. I don't know whether that's risky as well. I think if we're working on the basis that we're maybe going to tweak the bot,
yeah,
that automatically assigns the author on first, or that, yeah. So if we're confident that 99% of the time the author is going to be the assignee,
what I think, like, it does open up what I like about it is it opens up an opportunity to standardize the process for people reviewing community contributions. Like, in the same way we have a merge, a review checklist, we should probably have a checklist for how to, steps to take. But then again, I mean, like, that's error prone because people are people and they will probably forget.
Yes, it's why I quite like the bot that thanks community contributions, because it should set out kind of what to expect. And that's where I mentioned about that gap that Remy and team have got on their list, because at the moment it's not clear where you have the handover from kind of community contributor to review. So it quite clearly says stuff like add your danger token, and if you need help, ask the bot for help. If you need to label, ask the bot to label. But then it kind of fails to mention when you think you're ready, what do you do?
No, there's some holes we can plug for sure in the process.
And the other thing that I'm sure someone's got on their radar is about, like, I'm sure I looked and I think we've got like 900 open community MRs at the moment. And tons of those are going to be like a year old, 2 years old, 3 years old. So I think we're looking at what we can do to an MR hasn't been updated for over a month. Can we have some kind of bot or a triage type report that says, can someone review this list and poke people and say, do you need help with this MR, or what's going on, sort of thing.
Yeah, that's something we're currently looking at with the engineering productivity team across the board, funnily enough.
Awesome.
Because
I think that's a great, I think that because the community contributors are doing it out of the goodness of their heart, if I can call it that, I think for us to be proactive and this MR has been quiet for a little while. Is everything all right? Do you need any help, or are you coming back to this at a later stage? Would be, I think, greatly received.
Yeah, no, and I know it's number one priority on Kyle's radar, is improving the process for community contributions, and then that's going to hopefully trickle down into individual teams. So, like, as an example, on the editor team, we'll probably have to approach our issues slightly differently than to maybe like the code review team, because they'll need different levels of information for the specific problems. But it's kind of get that idea of a standardized, easy to consume issue for community contributors. In the meantime, if we do decide to follow up with the author, it does look like we can follow the add legal disclaimer to Epic, because they initialize the API client inside the Ruby file and they make a query to it. So I'm assuming we could just we could query based on the merge ID and return the author.
So the only thing I've just had a devil's advocate moment in my head is I think I want to say we'd have as many scenarios. If we use the author, we're as likely to have a situation where it's kind of been handed over to someone else. So, the author was Dave, but now it's Dave from Siemens, and now it's Dave from GitLab. So you've taken ownership because you're just going to get it across the line. So, although I suppose, no, you would still probably want the author to get the message, even if they weren't the ones that saw it over the line, because you would want them to say, well, it was a good experience, but I just, all of a sudden I had an emergency and I couldn't finish it. So the GitLab team picked it up. So scrap that. I think the author is probably the way to go, regardless of whether or not the assignee has changed.
Yeah, my gut feeling says to me it is the author we're going to want to target in this particular situation, because to me the author just represents the person who pushed up the first commit, and that's where it kind of starts from.
Yeah, I think there's an argument for one to do the assignee, right? The current assignee. I'm coming in late to the conversation.
Go for it. Let's see what you got.
When I don't know if you all are following the World Chess Championship between Magnus Carlsen and Jan somebody. I don't know his last name. But when they move pieces around and after 11 moves, they like one person resigns, and it looks like, hey, there's still a whole game to be played. But they played the game in their heads. They knew how it ended. That's what I just did with GitLab Compose Kit. I was like, oh no, moving ahead, I need to resign. So But coming in late to the conversation, um, I can think maybe the best of who do we ping being the assignee, and if there is no assignee, let's do the author, or like the assignee is the person that's currently working on it, right? And that's probably the person that did the most work on it, considering it just got merged.
I mean, look, to begin with, the assignee is fine because it's already within our grasp and we don't have to query the API for it. And we can always,
Yeah, that sounds like a great reason to use it, doesn't it? It's the easiest, the most boring solution. It
The assignee, we
wins.
don't need to do an API.
I don't
request.
believe so. No, I
Oh.
can see it in the payload. So
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 then,
I,
oh yeah, go ahead, Paul.
no, I was wondering, does someone want to drive to see if we can test this thing out in integration? I can. I'm not gonna be able to spin up the. I'm gonna be moving to the development kit after this call. But does someone that already has a working GitLab development kit want to try out the triage ops?
unfortunately, I've got to jump off in a minute. Otherwise, I'd
Oh, you're good, Lee. No.
volunteer.
If my JDK starts, I can do it. Let's see if it
Oh
starts.
yeah.
Let's go for it. Let's go for it.
Yeah, I'm going to jump off in a sec. As soon as there's a brief pause, I'm going to drop a link in the chat in a minute. If anyone feels very kind or wants to try and nominate someone, there's an MR that myself and a guy called Andrew Smith, another community contributor, started working on 6-9 months ago. And we've got it close, but unfortunately we have resigned. So I'm really looking for someone to what's the word, take the gauntlet. So I'm going to drop it in the chat, and if anyone wants to have a look and either nominate someone or pick it up, that would be
Cool.
super amazing.
Thanks for bringing that up, Lee.
Ask any questions if you wish to do so, or ping me or whatever, but I'm just going to hide, ping that, and then drop off. So good to see you all. Have a great weekend.
Good to see you, Lee. Take care. Bye.
Can you all see my screen?
I can see the screen.
All right, let's see if this works. I'm gonna hold my breath. We'll find out. What are the odds of load? Does anyone think it'll load? I don't. Yeah, okay. So
Sorry, I'm just taking pictures.
nah, that's okay. Go for it. So let's see. So instead of it being the event user username, specifically, we want the.
But I'd like to see if we can just get it running, and then maybe we could tweak it, and at least we get some feedback going on.
That would be great. If I could see it running locally, I'd be very happy.
Oh man, I ran into the migrations too.
Let's find out. It might work. It's a crapshoot. Half of the time, not so much. Sometimes it does the job.
So like the compose kit works really nice, but I keep running into, and what I just discovered on the Webpack was some weird characters showing up in a file it's trying to read. And I know there's some weird interaction between the container and the container for some reason, and I think this is a decision we've made in the compose kit, but for some reason mounts to a local directory to cache some stuff, but it basically causes things to go wacky and sometimes. And anyways,
So it mounts to a local directory to cache, and it
to
can't
cache like the like your gems or whatever, but I think it needs to use Docker to cache things, because Docker is really good at that, as opposed to this local Linux directory, because I think for some reason it's there's some weird, it's like the kind of characters that show up when you're like, whoa, this isn't Unicode, I don't know what to decode this text as. And
I don't know what this is. What am I looking at?
I know every time I deal with text encoding issues, those are the most, that's the biggest gotcha moment for me in programming. You're like, whoa, I thought this was just a string, But no, strings have encodings with them.
Strings. Yeah, I don't envy you, my friend. I do
Oh,
not
that's
envy
fine.
you.
I'm just gonna
But
go. We're gonna go
this looks
GitLab.
like it actually might work.
Awesome. So we
All right.
got this loaded.
All right, we
Great.
got 30K up and going.
What might be a blocker though to running the triage ops is the instructions actually talk about building this Docker file for doing that, and you might not have Docker Hub because you're on a Mac.
You could be correct.
No.
You could
All right.
be correct.
What is required for the Docker setup?
Let's see here. So running with a local GitLab instance. So you can run a triage file with a local instance. You'll enable the webhook. All right. So one prerequisite is you can start just to do. Okay. Well, I'm just gonna try it and see.
You need to first do the build. If you go up, there's a
Wait,
the
do we need to
build
do first?
Yep, Docker build.
Let's go for it. So, am I even running Docker? I mean, I have it.
Docker daemon.
No.
I think you have to do like service Docker start or something.
Yeah, is that what it is? I think it was. There we go. Docker start.
So Docker start is gonna still assume that the Docker daemon is running. I think you have to do something like sudo service Docker start. Like there's a Docker service registered with.
How do I start this boy? I think you're. I'm assuming you're right. There's some system commands to run this. I'm sure.
Docker D.
That's not very helpful at all. I just would have assumed it. Yeah, it would be like service Docker daemon start or something similar. Let's start Docker daemon. Here we go. Right down the bottom. Great job, Google. What? No, that can't be right.
Docker. Try Docker machine.
Yeah, Docker machine might be it.
Let's try that. Don't look at the comments.
Ah.
Woohoo! Uh-oh. VirtualBox bug.
Oh, because I don't have VirtualBox installed, I'm assuming. No,
Well,
sure.
no, well,
No,
how could you have a known VirtualBox if you don't if you don't have it installed?
this is a known VirtualBox.
So yeah, you need to have Docker. So Docker recently did something where they're different. They work differently with Mac now. Like it requires the Docker Hub. There's license issues with running Docker on Mac. So running this might be problematic.
What we need Remy up above.
Yeah, he probably has.
That's what we need. I can try it. What I can do is I can set this up off screen and then try and run it locally. I don't know if I'll get this going in the next few minutes though.
Yeah, that's all right. So I did see we have a spec for it, and so maybe that's enough for us to get some feedback on it. And so how's the event?
That's what I've been doing. I was using the spec to drive my validation of the solution, and so the next two pieces for me, or the next piece of the spec for me was to add some sort of a conditional inside the applicable to the GitLab or GitLab.com, GitLab org or GitLab.com community contribution, and some definition of what merge to ping, like a contributor's first and then every 25th, or ping X amount within a month, or something like this to avoid spamming people.
Avoid to do it like in a time frame.
In any capacity, like I mean, if we left it the way it is now, this would ping every community contributor on any merge they open that gets closed or merged, and that could be fine, but I am just personally familiar with some contributors that open hundreds of merges at a time.
I don't know.
I mean, do we like, I mean, if nobody else is concerned about
Hopefully
it,
hopefully it's just, you know, passive and just, you know, you
yeah.
can ignore this if you have nothing to say. Like,
Yeah, I mean, look, it is just a ping on your to-do, you know? I mean, it couldn't, maybe it's not that bad.
yeah, I mean, and maybe we can even add to the message, like,
Yeah.
you know, if you don't have anything to say, feel free to ignore this.
Yeah. What did y'all think of Lee's suggestion about adding labels with some label definitions and then giving the person the link to that documentation?
What kind of labels?
So Lee had suggested he liked the idea of keeping things within the merge. So if,
Oh.
at the moment, this will take you to a Google form, and you know you have a yes or no plus a free text where you can, you know, I had a terrible experience. Here's why. But it's a Google form. Whereas if we created, we'll say like community, or you know, code review satisfaction, code review experience, labeled 1 to 5. You know, for a 1 being a terrible experience or a 5 being a great experience, or vice versa. And then we put some documentation around it. We could include the link in the same way we normally include the link to our triage policies explained in the comments. Yeah. But the only issue I see with that is community contributors can't label MRs.
Yep.
So
what do you think if what if they could do it on the reply comment on the thread?
So that's what I was thinking, is that, yeah, could they ask the bot to label them for it, or label the merge for them? Because I do like the idea of keeping on the merge.
I think the idea wasn't to allow the community contributors to add labels. The idea was that we detect the reaction and then add labels automatically, not the.
Well, that's even cooler.
Oh, based on emoji reaction, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, yeah, interesting. Well, could we get more simple? Could we get then just like thumbs up, thumbs down?
That would be cool.
Like thumbs up, I had a good experience. Apply, that'll apply. Code review, good experience. Thumbs down. Code review, bad experience.
So is that a hook that we can hook into?
I'm honestly not sure. It would be the first time I've done. It would be the first time I've done a bot policy that will react to a comment. But there is something new comment, the event new comment, that we might be able to hook into.
Cool.
So let's have.
I think I've seen some sort of stuff that we do this.
I'm pretty
react to every issue and merge request event.
Yeah. So what I think we probably want to do here is we probably want a conditional which is react to merge request updated in the form of a new comment.
Yep.
And then we
and the new comment specifically for our thread. Like maybe we can.
That's it. We need to make it granular, so it has to be new comment by author the bot, you know, the author of original comment the bot, which I guess we would have access to at that stage.
Yeah, it's kind of why I was wanting to get it running, so you can we could see.
Yeah.
Console logging development.
Yeah, like because now with that level, so like this one is, you know, a Google form is easy to go by TDD, but that level of interaction you really do want to see it locally. It might actually be worth me trying to get this up and running locally so we can see it.
Yeah, I don't know if I mean, you could try to get. There's a license issue with Docker because we're now in a larger organization. The Mac Docker Hub has, when they first announced this, they were like, "Hey, we're open source, but you big companies got to give us money." I don't know. So there's a license issue with the Mac Docker Hub, and that I don't know if you can set it up without that. I remember trying to, and running into issues, and I don't know if we opted to have actually purchase a license for enterprise with Docker Hub, whatever. So it's one of the benefits of the Linux machine, is the Docker stuff.
Okay. Is that you volunteering to try and get this back up?
It
and running?
is. Yeah, it is. So I'm gonna try to get this running in integration.
I'm gonna grep through our previous examples and see if we have anything that looks like a reaction to a new comment by a specific author. Is kind of what I want.
Okay.
New comment. Customer label might be a good one. Customer label. So event from GitLab, add a customer label. New comment is the new comment. That's amazing. So what does the new comment API structure look like? Or what does it look like? What does the event look like? New comment, new comment. Does the comment include the author?
The comment should include the author.
Should it? No, the comment is just a string by the looks of it, I'm guessing.
To receive new comment and return. Oh yeah.
I think it's
But-
just a string, but that's okay.
Wait. The event itself has a property new comment, and that's the new comment that was added. I
Yeah.
imagine there's another property on the event that has the author or something like that. Like what's up if you go to the search that right above this one, the reactive labeler spec line 20. Event adders notable author ID by a notable author. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, notable author ID would
I
describe.
think that means somebody that writes good comments. I think that makes them a notable author.
Yeah. I've decided from now on, I'm gonna say that people have a great mother tongue when they write awesome comments.
There you go.
How would we know that this is the right comment? I mean, that's the one that we want.
So that's an awesome question. And the way I think we have, or go ahead, Luna.
No, I don't know. That's a question. I don't have a solution yet.
So I think we can do one of two things. If we're able to connect the new comment event to some metadata that says the author of the original comment thread was our bot, we can be pretty sure that this is the right comment. Or maybe we can grep for a specific type of a string within the comment, like new comment that matches this type of a format, and ask, in our original comment, ask the author to respond with this type of a format to trigger the next part of the bot. But again, the second part of that is also kind of subject to human error because you're kind of relying on people. But maybe that's okay. Maybe we can trust the community contributors.
I don't know. That's a good question for Lee.
Too bad he's not here. He dropped.
I know. Can we trust you?
He knew that question was coming.
Yeah. No, I really want to get this. I want to get this running in integration so we can see what the actual event stuff are. Because it looks like, and I'm so impressed. Like it looks like adding a new, behavior like this is really straightforward, which is really cool. So that's exciting. I'm gonna try to get this running locally. I gotta get the GDK started. And let's then maybe the best use of our time right now is deciding if we were not going to use a Google form and we're going to keep it all, because that should be technically possible. If we weren't going to, and we're going to keep it all in the thread, what do we think would be cool for? Should the person pinged leave a comment with some, maybe some sort of well-structured comment? Or should they react with an emoji of like, was this thumbs up or thumbs down? And maybe the comment, maybe that's all the quantitative feedback we're really interested in was this reaction thumbs up or thumbs down? And then they can leave some qualitative information
Yeah.
in a thread comment.
That's exactly what I think. We can ask them for a thumbs up, thumbs down, and then if you have more, put a header why, and then give us some feedback, and then we could grep for that why, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. And we're just be interested just in comments from the assignee. Yeah, Lena or Yannick, do you see any issues with that? Do you?
Sounds great to me so far. Not quite sure if I can fully grasp the whole process, but so far I definitely like the idea.
So my main concern is people that would thumbs down. And this still enables us to have visibility and some sort of channel for people that I had a bad experience. And now there's a channel for me to communicate that bad experience. There's at least this process still opens up the door for that. And so maybe we don't need a Google form or anything. Do you think that's all right, David?
Yeah, I don't mind. The idea of keeping it in the merge is perfectly fine by me. I think as long as you give people a chance to communicate if it was good or bad, and then look, if you want to leave feedback, just drop it in the comment, because Lee mentioned a couple of really good benefits, like it's greppable at that stage, which is cool.
So let's
Maybe,
go. Go ahead. What were you gonna say, Lena?
maybe we could redirect that to Slack. Can we get this message in some Slack channel? I don't know how it works, but I know
Yes.
these integrations are built, and we have this dedicated channel. And then what? I don't know what. Maybe we just watching those feedbacks.
That's a great idea, and that's was my next question. Is okay. Someone just responded. Where does it go?
We have an example of that actually. There's already an example of the Slack channel being pinged here.
Yeah, maybe we create a channel called MR Mr. Feedback, or
Mr. Feedback.
Mr. Feedback. Yeah,
Mr. Feedback.
good. Mr. Coaching is already taken.
Look, I like it. Okay. What is digest? What are they using a digest for? Enter user ID. What's the cache key used for?
Oh my gosh, that's a.
But what? But what is it used for? That's very interesting.
Maybe it's used outside of this. Maybe the cache, maybe merge request help is something that gets cached.
Maybe I'm only going to steal what I feel I need for this moment.
It's a good idea. Yeah, where does it send? Where does it use the Slack stuff?
So down here, so it has the set reply to author, which for us is what we do here with the message, but then it also has this one here, the Slack messenger,
and then send help requests. We take the messenger. No, that's not right. Is that right?
Oh, Slack messenger is kicked off in the initialize.
Oh, got it.
Which is cool. That's awesome. That's really handy. It just does them in like parallel, which is great. All right, we could totally do that. So what we could do?
Do we think doing this in MR coaching, or would we want to do this in a separate channel?
I would 100% Mr. Feedback personally.
Mr. Feedback.
I'm open to thoughts and considerations from the rest of the group here. Is Mr. Feedback a thumbs up or a thumbs down? Let's get our imperative system going.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm for Mr. Feedback because I don't want to sample this because I'm concerned about the outliers, and if you sample, you're not going to get the outliers, or you'll only get a subset of them, most likely.
Could you rephrase it because it's hard to understand.
Oh, was I not? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I just didn't understand the last
Oh no,
statement.
I was saying. Sorry. I was saying that. So Remy brought up to David the idea that maybe we don't want to send this message to everybody, but I kind of think we do, because I'm really concerned. I'm really concerned about the people that have a bad experience, which I think is not common. But hey, let's help those people out. If we sample it, like if we say do just a random sample of, we're just going to do every third one, we have a really low chance of getting the one person that had a bad experience. So I would prefer not sampling it. And if we just end up creating noise that people ignore, that's totally fine. Do you think that's
Yeah.
that's good?
Yes. And why? What was the suggestion about sampling it? Yeah.
I think, and David would know better than me, but I think it's because it can just create, I mean, we get a lot of MRs, and so it can create a lot of noise. And especially if we have it hooked up to Mr. Feedback and everybody's responding to it. But I don't think everyone's going to respond to it. And
You
so
can have responder on call and address and some community concerns.
yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking like, when you call customer support, they don't random sample your call. It's not like well, maybe they do. Maybe that's why you don't actually reach them.
I think we do, yeah, because we don't get
Well, maybe that's a bad example. Or maybe that actually proves why we should be sampling. What is the most? I think the most. I would like to start by not sampling it, and if it is too noisy, then we gotta do something about it. But I would like to maybe start by not sampling it. Did it sound like Remy was maybe was open to that, David, or what was?
Oh yeah, no, he was open to absolutely everything in this process. He was just offering advice from his experience. And the particular he highlighted two different contexts. And the first one is for internal GitLab employees, he said that this has a possibility to create unwanted noise on top of people's day-to-day.
That's true. Yeah.
And
So maybe we don't do that. Yeah.
And then the other one, and in fairness, he did suggest it was kind of a smaller outlier because while we don't have many contributors that do it, I know everyone has interacted with at least two or three, which is contributors usually during hackathons who take wait one issues and they spin out like 20 to 40 to 50 merges a day to, score first.
Yeah. And I think it's, to me, I feel like this noise is after the fact. Like this noise is at, oh, you're good.
I'll be back. What's it?
Yeah, don't worry, David. I feel like the concern about noise, because already we have like multiple comments that the bot comments that are, adds a bit of noise already. But post merge noise, I don't know. Like if I see an email come in from an MR that was just closed or merged, just delete it because I'm done with that now.
Yeah. We don't know whether they will leave feedback or not. I mean, people tend not to do anything if they had like okay experience. Only if they were frustrated, they leave feedback. That is why most of the feedbacks are usually negative. And well, that's actually what we care about because those are fine.
Yeah. See you, Yannick. I agree. That's a good point too, Lena. Is yeah, this will definitely have a responder bias based on the people responding are gonna fall into a category of most likely having a negative experience.
That's okay.
It is, because that's the point. The point isn't to measure. I don't want to. I think the point is to capture that. Oh, I'm so excited about this. This is gonna be cool. Do we have a Slack token? Is that something that we start our triage op bot with?
Yeah, it seems to be bundled in, which is really cool. So I'm assuming it exists in whatever this helper or constructor is. This guy here, this Slack messenger. I'll go and have a look at him now and see. Whoop.
Certainly, it's not checked into source control.
No. If it was checked into source control, it'd be very unfortunate. It'd be really unfortunate. Yeah.
There you go. So I say that because it's like, well, how would we test that part out? Like, how would we and how are we gonna test that in integration of sending a Slack message?
So we've done this, we've done this, we've done this. So that looks good. That looks good. That looks good. That looks good. So now we have two actions that are being kicked off in parallel, which is we're posting into the feedback channel through Slack, and we are also commenting on the merge itself. Just cool.
Awesome.
What we probably want to do is we probably want to change the process to be synchronous and not kicked off in parallel, as in post to the feedback channel after the assignee has responded to the MR comments, I think.
Yeah, these are almost two different.
Yeah,
Um,
they are, aren't they? They're like two different processes. They might be better off living separately.
Yep. I think it is going to be separate modules handling this. One is we got a response. One was we're sending off the request.
I think you could be right. I think you could be right.
Yeah. Well, it's it's top of the hour, so I think this was productive. If you want to push up whatever you got, David,
That's
I'm
what
gonna
I
try
will
to get-
do. As an action item, what I will do is I'll write the second module. I'll write a corresponding spec for it. I'll add it to the handler, and then I will just comment the two methods we have left, which is we need to update from being user or username to being the assignee, and then we need to change the message to be, give us a thumbs up, thumbs down, and
Okay.
leave a comment.
Is okay, yeah. So part of me was also thinking, here's another thing to talk about. I know it's top of the hour, so if you got to head up, we can head up. Sometimes MRs are accidentally closed. What do you think? Is there a way for us to like debounce the event?
Oh, so that's kind of what I was getting at with the picking which ones to leave this comment on. So I was reading through the README to see if there was anything that existed I could find listed in the applicable method, because this seems to be the place where that would be decided. I didn't discover anything this morning, but what would be really cool would be to find some sort of an expression in the applicable method that says, yeah, this is the right time to leave this comment in our feedback guy.
Well, applicable will be tough because we won't get the event. You know what I'm saying? Like applicable is tough because if we say, oh, it's not applicable, we don't ever get the event later.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah.
And so that's why you want to do something like a debounce. And that'll be implemented at whatever is receiving events and then emitting them. Whatever receives events emits them. You can implement we receive it. This is the last timestamp I've received it. And then I'm going to set a timeout and you could do this, I'm talking JavaScript, but we could do it in Ruby for sure before I emit it. and then I received another one, like that might replace it or something like that. And like that's probably getting way too sophisticated and we don't need to worry about that. But that's something to think about, I think, is what happens here if an MR is accidentally closed. And then if an MR was closed, reopened, and then merged, what do we do? And those are if we've already talked to this MR, like what do we do there? Like those are maybe some edge cases we want to think about. So
Yeah, I mean, straight away, I mean, the first edge case, or the latter edge case, I think is the easiest one, which is check if this MR has been commented on already by this. If it has, don't leave the same comment twice. But
yeah,
accidental closing and then reopening, because it's just, at the moment, it'll just leave it as soon as it's closed. And whether or not that's helpful for the author or the assignee at that moment, probably not, right? But I mean, maybe that's not the worst thing either in the moment for the first MVC. I mean, they can, they'll know that it's there to fill out.
Yeah.
Yeah. As for the close event, like how often the closed event happens because the user got frustrated because of the experience. I mean, people close their marriage just because they don't want to work on it, not because they don't like how someone commented on the I think so. Maybe we don't just
even
take
need to
it into
close
account.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we just react on merged
Yeah.
MRs.
That's a good alternative too. I know that I've seen some that the community contributor is like, close. This isn't worth it. And I know I've seen one of those. And so it's kind of nice that we be catching those, but maybe it's too flaky of maybe the event happens too often legitimately that it's not, I don't know.
Well, again, thinking in terms of iteration, maybe the easiest thing to do is start with merge request merge, because there's the least amount of edge cases, and
you can't unmerge an MR.
Exactly. Well, you can revert it, but at that stage,
still doesn't. That's a new MR. You can't unmerge an MR.
So I like Alina's suggestion. I like the path of least resistance. Embodying our iteration value in spirit.
I love it. Yep.
Cool.
I love it.
Well, then in that case, I'm going to take this respond to out, and we're only going to respond to merge request merge, and I will update this. I'll break the modules out, update the specs, and I will push, and we can resume the conversation from there.
Cool. All right. Thanks so much, David. Thanks, Lena.
Yeah, this has been awesome. Thanks so much for the great idea and the great input. This has been super cool.
It is gonna be really cool. All right. See ya.
Thank you. Have a nice weekend.
You too.
Bye.